Hi! So if you don't like hearing about blood, teeth, anything to do with your mouth, then please click away from this video because that's exactly what you're going to get here. Oh, and some pretty graphic photos too of blood and everything like that. So if you're weird like me, then stick around. I had my oral surgery the third week of June, and what they had to do was pull a tooth to make room for my teeth to straighten out and extract an impacted canine tooth. The tooth just never grew in. My mouth is very small and all my teeth were very crowded, and I don't have like my lower bicuspids, and like I said, my canine never came out, and they had to pull my baby teeth at like 14, so I have a very odd mouth. So they needed to take out the canine tooth so it wouldn't create problems down the road. It wouldn't get in the way of my teeth straightening. It wouldn't get infected at some point in my life or create cysts or anything. So it's kind of like your wisdom teeth. You just want it out. I made the appointment, and when I made the appointment, I told them that I wanted to be put to sleep because at the time I didn't know it was going to be over $800. So when I'm at the appointment, they tell me it's $800 and something dollars, and I was like, whoa, no way am I paying that. I just won't get put under. So I wound up paying $285 out of pocket, which was a lot of money, but I needed the surgery, so that was it. I needed it. The only problem was, and I think this is why it went as bad as it did, you can't eat anything for 8 hours before you're put to sleep. So I didn't eat anything since 8 o'clock the night before. My surgery started at, I guess, 1 p.m. maybe. And I am the kind of person who, first of all, I need to eat frequently throughout the day, and I need to eat breakfast. If I don't eat breakfast, my day is just weird. So that was the beginning of the appointment and my horrible day. Anyway, they call me in, they numb me up. The numbing was pretty painful as well. They put about 4 shots in the roof of my mouth, and they put a lot of shots on my gums in the front. There was like 1 or 2 shots that felt like the needle was going into my nose, and it also felt like I got punched in the face. Like it was like this weird surging pain. It felt like I dyed my hair blonde a couple months ago, and I sniffed the hair dye, and it had like this shooting, horrible, cleared my sinuses kind of thing up my nose, and this is kind of what it felt like, only worse. It was weird. Anyway, they pulled the tooth, which went fine. The only thing is I was a little scared, and I told them that, but they pulled the tooth, and that was fine. A little bit, actually. The root was longer than they thought it was going to be, and my gums are pretty healthy because I floss. So it was a little difficult to take out the tooth, but it came out in one piece. And then it was time for them to take out the canine tooth, and this is where things really turned to shit. They slice open my mouth, which the thought skeeved me out, and they start doing their work or whatever. Now the light was really bright that they were using, so I have a mask over my face and I can't see anything they're doing, which is good because it got pretty weird. They're taking out the tooth, and the tooth is a lot longer than they thought, and the bone was a lot harder than they thought. It won't come out in one piece, so they're chipping away at the tooth, and I can feel pieces of it like ricocheting out of my mouth, and like at one point it hit my mouth. I have these things, like big plastic pieces in my mouth to keep it open. They put cotton down my throat, not like down my throat, but to cover my throat so nothing would go down it. I guess I wouldn't also choke on all of the blood that was pouring out of my face. His assistant had this tool that was pulling my lip. I don't know exactly what the tool was for because it wasn't sucking out anything. And it was just super painful because she was like really pulling on it. And at one point, they had to take everything out of my mouth and say, "What are you trying to say?" Because I was in pain, and they kept saying, "Do you feel what we're doing?" And I said, "No, I don't feel what you're doing, but I'm in pain." And they like took everything out. They're like, "Okay, what's hurting you?" And I said, "That tool is really pulling on my mouth and it hurts." And they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." So she kind of lightened up, but then after a while when things got super intense, she was pulling again. But I couldn't even say anything because they were in the middle of a hardcore surgery. They're working on the canine, and they're chipping away at it, and they're trying to get to the root, and the root is so far up in my gums, it's pretty much very close to my nose, and they don't have a tool long enough to get it out. This starts to become a problem because it felt like they were taking the tool that they had and shoving it into the open wound in my mouth, and it was just like super painful and irritating, and it kind of itched a bit. It was just very painful. And I don't know what they were doing, but at one point they took what felt like a chisel, and they were like chiseling in my face, in the gums, and it was like banging my head. Like I had my head rested, it was just like banging all through my head. I could feel it. It left me with such a headache. At this point, I'm nearly passed out because I haven't eaten anything. My body is drenched in sweat. They put like this long plastic apron on me, and my body is just, it's just clinging to my skin because I'm just covered in sweat. My head hurts, my mouth is, I'm gurgling my blood. They have like this mask on for the silly gas, but I'm not breathing through my nose because all I'm focused on is how clogged my throat is and how I couldn't breathe. And my body was numb because I hadn't eaten. I was sitting like this with my arms crossed, and I couldn't move my hands. I couldn't lift, like I was trying to lift my fingers up so they wouldn't go completely numb. But after a while, the numbness reached my toes, and it was really scary. Like, you ever grip something so hard that you can't move your fingers? Like, you ever do this thing when you're a kid? Like, you put your hands up against the wall, and when you take them off, your hands lift up. It was like a thing to do back when I was a kid, but that's exactly what it was. I was clenching so hard that my hands were so numb, I could barely move. And when I tried to, they would just go back in that, like, locked position. All in all, the surgery took over an hour, I think. I was in there, and I was just, I tried my best to keep composed, but after a while, I was, like, crying, and I was, like, hyperventilating. Man, I was just praying for it to be done. I needed it to be over. Probably like 40 minutes before it was over. I was done. My body was done. I was exhausted. So they finally finish. She cleans up my mouth. They were going to keep the teeth to show me, but they wrapped it in gauze and someone wound up throwing it out, so I didn't get to see the teeth, which was kind of a bummer because I was really looking forward to it. The surgery ended. They say, okay, you can go into the waiting room. No one helps me into the room. They just kind of let me go walk by myself. Like, I wasn't put under, but they knew I almost passed out, and they knew I was in a lot of pain, and they knew how horrible of a surgery that was for me, and they just like, okay, you can go wait in that room. I almost walked into another surgery. There was like a door there, and there was chairs right in that surgery room, and then there was like another room kind of off to the side with the chairs. And I see the chairs in the surgery room, and I'm like stumbling to the chairs, and then I see a guy on the surgery table, and I'm like, oh, like that's not the room. So I go, and they have like big comfy chairs, and my head was between my knees because I just felt like I was gonna pass out. My mom comes in, I'm really pale, and I'm in a lot of pain, and I have gauze in my mouth, and it was really bad. I was numb for the whole day, but yeah, so they took to do that. My teeth are getting straighter. Yay. Recovery process. I was numb the whole day. I had to ice, which felt really good. And I had to take 3 different types of pills. I had an antibiotic, so my mouth wouldn't get infected. I had to take 3 ibuprofen every 6 hours. I did that for the week. And I had to take steroids to keep the swelling down. The swelling was pretty bad. I had a lisp for about a week. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was because actually no one at work even noticed. They noticed that I mentioned it, but I did have a lisp. If you actually see my everyday makeup tutorial, I have a lisp. I got a black eye. My face was kind of swollen. See, I had stitches here, and one in the back. And of course I had stitches where they made the incision. Those actually disappeared that night. The other stitches were in there for a while, probably like a week and a half before they started to fall out. This one fell out first, and then this one, and these two. This one fell out like 2 weeks ago, and this one I don't even remember. It must have just, my gums were a little swollen and red from where the stitches were. Yeah, this one just went down. It left a red bump. Like, it kind of looked like a pimple in my gums. It was weird. I didn't think it was ever going to go down. I didn't think I would ever recover. Geez, my batteries just died. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so the back of my teeth, the gum was really swollen. I actually had a lot of blood clots. It was like this huge clot of blood, and he actually called me the next day, my oral surgeon, and he like asked me everything that was going on. He was really, really surprised that I wasn't in any pain, because this is a weird thing. I wasn't in any pain ever. Like, I was taking the ibuprofen every 3 hours to control the pain, But that was the only pain medicine that I took. Like, he gave me Percocet. I didn't need it. So I was pretty much getting the ibuprofen, and he was really surprised that I was fine with just that. I was bleeding a lot. I had like this big cup that I just kept spitting in, and it looked like a lot more blood than it actually was. It was probably mostly just like saliva, but I was bleeding a lot, and I just kept shoving my napkins in there that I kept using for the blood. Oh, it's giving me up thinking about it. Yeah, my braces were completely covered in blood. I had the taste of blood in my mouth for days. It was a really, really horrible experience. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of pain. I try not to think about it pretty much. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments down below about your experiences with oral surgery, the things we do for our teeth, man. Okay.